Okay, good morning, guys. I'm here in Tirana, and no, that's not Toronto pronounced really badly. This is Tirana in Albania. Terrible joke, I know. Hey guys, so I managed to squeeze in another quick trip before the end of this year. This time I went to Albania, which was a really interesting place to visit. I'd heard a lot of things about Albania from my friends and I wanted to go and check it out for myself, and I was not disappointed when I went there. It was a very, very nice place. So stay with me to find out a little bit more about Albania, to see what there is to do, to find out how much stuff costs, and for some tips if you decide to go there to visit. So let's get right into it. So Albania is in the Balkan region of Eastern Europe. You can see it has a border with Montenegro, Kosovo, North Macedonia and Greece. You can see that on the other side of the Adriatic Sea you have Italy as well. Albania is not currently a member of the EU, however it is on the EU's agenda for enlargement. It currently has candidate status and is undergoing negotiations for access into the European Union. And Albania has its own currency as well, called the lek. More on that a bit later in the video. Guys, so I got into Tirana last night, so I didn't film too much, and it was also really dark, so you couldn't really see too much on the way here. But yeah, so I'll show you the hotel I'm staying in. It's a 4-star hotel with a pretty central location, and I saved money on this hotel actually because I used my Amex points to get some points off it. So, you know, I used my Amex points and I think I saved about half price on it. And an additional benefit of this hotel is that it has breakfast included. So I'm gonna get my stuff ready and then I'm gonna go for a walk around Tirana today, and we're gonna check out some of the sites there. So let's go. So what is there to do and what is there to see in Albania? And the answer to both questions is lots. I was only in Albania for 2.5 days, so it was a very express trip and I did a lot of stuff crammed into a few days. But I can tell you that I would have liked to spend a lot more time there, probably a week or maybe even a bit more, to be able to go around and explore the country in full. So most of my time was spent in Tirana, the capital city, which is quite big, quite modern, but also has a lot of history to it. If you search for pictures of Tirana or Albania online, probably one of the first things that will come up is Skanderbeg Square, which is kind of the very center of Tirana. It's a big, massive square. There's a big statue of a man on the horse, General Skanderbeg, I think is his name. There's a famous building in that square as well, which was actually undergoing building works while I was there, so couldn't see it in all of its glory. But the square at night is honestly a fascinating sight with all the lights on it. It looks amazing. And I was very lucky that I went into the center on one Saturday night and there was a big marketplace going on in that square. So there was food, there was trade stalls. It was very, very interesting to see. Another thing that I found really cool was Tirana Castle. So formerly the castle of the city, but it's now been converted into a kind of food court. So there's a lot of restaurants in there where you can find some really nice food, and we'll talk a bit more about the food a bit later on in the video as well. You also got several shopping centers in Tirana which are very modern. Two other attractions that I found particularly interesting in Tirana were called Bunk'Art. So Bunk'Art 1 and Bunk'Art 2. So what these are essentially Cold War era nuclear bunkers that are still in existence today but have been converted into museums talking about Albania's history. One of them is located in the center next to Skanderbeg Square, and the other is located on the outside of the city next to the Dajti mountain. There are a lot of historical artifacts in those museums. You can see some of the rooms in the bunker have even been preserved to show the state that they were in at the time they were built. Really, really interesting. I mentioned the Dajti mountain. Now, something that you absolutely have to do if you go to Tirana is the Dajti Express. Now, what this is a cable car ride which will take you from the outskirts of Tirana up the Dajti mountain in 15 minutes, and the views are absolutely spectacular. If you go up there on a good day, you've got a fantastic view of Tirana, and you've also got some beautiful nature surrounding you whilst you're up on the mountain as well. And there are a load of fun things to do on the mountain as well. You can have a game of mini golf, there's an adventure park, there's a children's playground, there's a hotel with a lounge area for a bar, and there's also a restaurant with a terrace. So if you want to enjoy that nice view with some food, you can do. And that's not all when we're thinking about nature or green spaces in Tirana, because one of the best things that the city has to offer is the Grand Park of Tirana. Now, this park is absolutely massive. Living in Madrid, if I was to compare it with the Retiro, it would probably be of similar size, perhaps even bigger. The park has a big artificial lake. You've got some little trails that'll take you through a forest, and there are lots of places to stop and have a coffee, have a little snack or ice cream. And you've also got places where you can do sports such as basketball, volleyball, five-a-side football, or have a game of tennis as well in the park. The park was really nice. Okay guys, so yeah, last day here in Tirana. I'm currently in the Grand Park. As I say, this really is a massive park, so I would allow a good few hours. I mean, it's been like 2 hours since I've been here and I've seen about 70% of the park, so really allow yourself a lot of time. And I mean, I've just been walking around. I haven't really stopped to have food or have a drink, so definitely allow yourself like plenty of time to fully enjoy what the park has to offer when you come here. This is definitely one of the main attractions, I would say, of the city, one of the best things it has to offer, along with the Dajti mountain, which of course I've included in the video as well. So the range of things to do in terms of nature, activities and things to explore here in Tirana, you know, definitely you need a few days because there is quite a lot to explore and enjoy. I also spent a day in the coastal city of Durrës, which is about 45 minutes from Tirana by bus. Very easy to get there. So if you want to get outside of Tirana, enjoy the Adriatic coast, then Durrës is a really easy option. You know, it's about 45 minute drive away from Tirana. You've got nice restaurants again. The beach is really nice to have a walk up and down. And there's some very nice historical sites there as well, such as an ancient Roman amphitheater. And you've also got the Venetian Tower, which has been somewhat preserved as well. So how much do things cost in Albania? Well, generally things are very cheap. So I stayed in a 4-star hotel for 3 nights, and that would have cost me 150 euros. However, I used some of my American Express points through American Express's online travel booking service, and it ended up costing me about 78 euros for the 3 nights. And as you've seen in the video, you know, the hotel was really nice. The staff was super friendly and helpful as well, and the location was pretty good as well, you know, a short walk to the center of town. The travel between the airport and the center of Tirana will probably cost you about 15 euros by taxi. If you want to use your mobile phone whilst in Albania, then it's worth keeping in mind that as it's not in the EU, you will incur roaming charges, so you might want to consider getting a local SIM card. The cheapest one that I found in Vodafone was about €5.50, €6, and you'll get 300 megabytes of data with that. A gigabyte, if you want to get a prepaid card that'll last you 30 days, that'll cost you about probably 12 to 13 euros as well. This is just what I found in Vodafone. You know, there are other operators out there in Albania, so it is possible that you might be able to find something cheaper. But I think the Vodafone prices, you know, they are quite reasonable looking at them. When it comes to food, eating out is super cheap compared to Western Europe. You know, I consistently ate for about 10 euros per meal, and that was with a main course and a drink, and sometimes even had, you know, a side as well. So you can see very affordable in terms of eating out. When it comes to supermarket food though, what I'm about to say, do take with a pinch of salt, as I did only check one supermarket and I did only look at a few items, but everything seemed quite expensive. So a couple of the items I found. So a 2-litre water bottle was about 50 cents. Okay, that seems all right. Kilogram pasta was about €1, so a bit more expensive than in Spain. Remember, I did a comparison of the supermarket prices here in Spain. Chocolate, depending on the brand, is about €1 to €2, and snacks kind of €3 to €4, so a bit expensive, though I did notice a slightly bigger quantity perhaps than you get in other places. Now chicken, I don't know what's going on here, but 17 euros per kilogram of chicken? Now that seems like a lot. If there's anyone from Albania or who lives in Albania and is able to explain this, please leave a comment and let us know. Is this due to inflation? Is this normal? The prices I'm giving you here are from Conad, which I think is an Italian supermarket. So I'd be really interested to know if this is common across other stores in Albania. Though from what I saw, prices were generally comparable when looking at certain items. And then the bus from Tirana to Durrës was about €1.50 one way. So a return trip would cost you about €3. So for 45-minute ride, I think it's very affordable as well. So if you're looking for a low-cost holiday where you can really make your money go further, then Albania is definitely a place to consider. So guys, I learned a few things from my experience in Albania when traveling there, and I want to share these tips with you so that it can help you on your trip there. In terms of general safety and security, my experience was that I found Tirana to be very safe and secure. There was police around the city. People were very friendly, very helpful. There was no real moment when I felt unsafe or unsecure. You know, sometimes the odd person would try and talk to me, but I would just, you know, show that I was not interested and continue walking on. And I think if you do that, then you won't have any problems as well. And I didn't really spot any scams in the city either. There were some people begging in the streets, but no one was out there really trying to con you out of your money, if you want to look at it that way. From a language perspective, Albanian is the official language of Albania. Though there are a lot of people who do speak English, not everybody does, and not everybody has a high degree of fluency in English. So it is good to have some Albanian phrases at the ready, just in case. What I used was a small guide from Lonely Planet, which cost about €2 or €3. I'll put the link in the description in case you want to consider it for your trip. Now let's talk about transportation. Now, from a road safety perspective, you do need to be careful, both if you're driving and as a pedestrian, because, how can I say this? Drivers make some questionable decisions on the road. I'm talking lane changes, I'm talking overtaking, you know, all the classic things. And if you're a pedestrian as well, it can be very, very difficult to cross the road because drivers just don't stop when you're at a pedestrian crossing. Probably the best thing to do is try and cross when other people are crossing as well, because when other people cross the road, then drivers stop. But do be careful because the roads are constantly busy, and whatever time of day it was, there always seemed to be traffic in Tirana. If you're looking to take a taxi as well, there are some unlicensed taxis out there. What I tended to find was that the taxis that were licensed, though not always the case, had a yellow registration plate. And you've also got a couple of taxi apps such as Speed Taxi and Taxi Point AL, where you can order a taxi on those apps and you'll generally get pretty competitive fares for where you're looking to go. So I'll put those apps in the video description as well. The tap water in Albania tastes a little bit funny, and though it's supposedly safe to drink, you might want to get some bottled water from the supermarket. And lastly, a very important point is money in Albania. Now, as I said earlier in the video, the currency in Albania is the lek, but a lot of places do accept euro. If you do want to take lek with you to Albania, then I'm not sure how many bureau de changes do have lek readily available, but what I used was Vivid. Now, I've talked about Vivid in my previous videos, but this time it came in particularly handy because it was one of the only ones that had Albanian lek as the currencies that you could hold. So I was able to spend in Albanian lek on my Vivid card. And because I was spending outside of the EU and EEA, I was able to get additional cash back. And you can also withdraw Albanian lek from Vivid, but I'll come back to this in just a moment because there is a very important point on withdrawing cash that I'm going to address. But as I say, Vivid was very useful in the sense that it let me carry Albanian lek and spend in Albanian lek on the card. So if you're interested in signing up to Vivid, I will leave a link in the video description for you. So let's come back to what I was saying about withdrawing cash. Now, it's really important that you do have cash on you because cards are not accepted everywhere. Most big establishments, like most restaurants, most shops, most supermarkets will accept card, but then you get random ones, and particularly like the taxi services, that don't accept card. So you do need to have cash ready. And an additional complication is that a lot of ATMs in Albania will charge you a pretty hefty commission, about €5 to €6, to withdraw cash from them. Luckily, I was able to find one bank, Credence Bank, where I was able to withdraw my cash without a commission. So my suggestion is make sure you have cash with you. Probably the best thing to do is take a fair amount of euros with you and then go spending your euros and ask for lek in change if you're spending any significant time in Albania, because yeah, most places accept euros. I didn't find a place that didn't accept euros, but it's probably good to have some local cash with you just in case. So in conclusion, Albania is definitely worth a visit. There is so much to do and see in Tirana and in the other cities on the coast such as Durrës. There's some really nice views, and you know, to enjoy the coast, the beach, the Adriatic Sea, it's well worth going. It's one of these places that I would say is as good as any major tourist destination in Western Europe, but it's just not one of these places that people know about. But yeah, I 100% recommend a trip, and make sure that you book enough time, probably at least a week if you want to fully enjoy Albania. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment and let me know, are you going to Albania or have you visited Albania already? Till next time, see you on the next one, and let's get this money.